Hi guys, and welcome to this video on Adjacency Matrices. My name's Darren, Maths Guru, and it's really good to see you. What are we dealing with today? Well, we're carrying on with the Further Maths course. The last video was on graphs and networks. It was so exciting. Now what are we dealing with? Adjacency matrices. Why? Because all of this language is really, really important for the rest of the course. Networks, all of this type of stuff is really, really funky stuff, but the language is going to be what tricks people, and it does all the time. All right, so we've looked previously at what graphs were, and we talked about all the language, complete graphs and isomorphic graphs, etc. If you haven't watched the video, please go back. Head over to mathsguru.com where you can find the videos. It is free to sign up. Yeah, there's downloadable notes, time codes, exam questions from VCAR, all sorts of stuff. All right, so and give me a shout out to your mates if you can. So we worked out that there were lots of ways of communicating, and if you've done the section on matrices in Further Maths, you'll have a little bit of a grounding on this already, because we've already sort of met this with communication matrices. All right, so it's very, very similar. So these are basically, adjacency matrices. What is an adjacency matrix? It just shows the number of connections between a number of different vertices. That's quite literally it, all right? So for example, we have a section here. There are 5 people, and we're trying to work out how they communicate with each other. So there's Amber, Barry, Celeste, David, and Emma. Just so happens to be A, B, C, D, and E. We are looking for the number of connections between them. And what you'll notice is we have the letters both on the rows, which that's a column, get it wrong every single time, and on the rows, or the columns. Anyway, so we got A, B, C, D along the top and A, B, C, D, E on the side. Why? Because it shows the connections between. And what we're saying here is that where there is a 0, for example here, because that is in column A and row A, there is no connection between A and A. And to go back to our previous video, that would suggest there was no loop. All right, so A, who is Amber, isn't loopy. She's not talking to herself. But this one here would suggest there was a connection between B and A. All right, so that's really, really important. There's just one line connecting B and A. And what you'll notice here, that 1 is actually replicated there. Why? Well, because there's going to be a certain sense of symmetry between all of this. All right, so again, fingers crossed, if we look at our leading diagonal, if you don't know what that is, it's just that sort of cross of our matrix that goes from the top left to the bottom right. We should notice that there's symmetry here between my graph, because if you've got a connection between A and B, you should really have a connection between B and A. All right, where there is 2 connections, that means that there is 2 lines connecting B to C together. So if I had B and C, for example, then that would be like having 2 road networks there, 2 connections. And again, is it the same on the other side? Yep, between B and C, we have that same connection. So let's turn this into some sort of a graph, right? So they've given me my adjacency matrix. We can turn this into a graph. They've told us the number of vertices. So we've got A, B, C, D, and E. A, B, C, D, and E. Now, why have I drawn them in a circle? No real idea. At this moment in time, we're going to draw a diagram, and then if needs be, I can move things around to make it planar or whatever else. Remember, we don't like things to be crossing, but sometimes we can't avoid it. So let's have a look. So A to A, there isn't. A to B, there is. There's one connection. So let's draw a connection there. A to C, there's a connection. So let's draw a line to C. Why don't I ever seem to finish the lines off? A to D, there's no connection. And A to E, there is a connection. So I've done those there. Ka-ching. Right. B to A, we already know there is a connection. B to B, there is no connection. Notice I'm crossing this off one by one so I don't get confused. B to C, there's 2 connections. So there's a B to C there. And we can do another B to C there. B to D, there is 1 connection. Now again, let's just cross this over. We don't really like it. B to E, no connection. C to A, there's 1 connection. Well, we've already got that. C to B, there's 2 connections. We've already got that. C to C, there's no loops. C to D, there's no connection, which there isn't. C to E, there is no connection. See how we're doing this? Just step by step. D to A, no connection. Yep, we know that. D to B, 1 connection. We've already drawn it. There's no connections between D and any other nodes. We've got that. A to E, 1 connection. And again, there's no other connections. And ladies and gentlemen, ka-ching, I'm done. There is my graph from the diagram. Now, if we wanted to, I could move that B to D A out. But all of them are connected. And ka-ching, there we go. So that's pretty much what we were heading to. Really don't worry if that's not what you got and it looks slightly different, it's fine. Some people put the A, B, C, D, E in a row. I wouldn't, I'd have them in a circle. It's just gonna make your life a little bit easier. And believe it or not, we're almost at the end of this video. Just understanding what an adjacency matrix is and how to turn it into something is really important. And while this looks exactly the same as the one I've just done, actually it isn't. All right, so again, I'm just gonna check, have we got some sort of symmetry? We do. The one I'm gonna have to make very, very careful of there is that D to D one, because that's going to be my loop. Remember, starting at D, going to D is going to be my loop. But all the rest of them seem to be symmetrically placed. Yep, all right, fabulous. So actually, I can ignore this bottom half of my adjacency matrix. Really, I just need to worry about the top connections because the rest of them are just going to be duplicates. How are we going to do this? A, B, C, D, and E. Let's put A somewhere else. Let's do A there. B, C, D, and E. Once you've actually labeled A though, the convention in maths is to then put the rest of the letters clockwise. Okay, so that's just a convention we use in maths. Once you choose where the letter A is, the rest of them go clockwise in as much as you possibly can. All right, so we always have to make sure we look at the point on that dotted line. So let's actually do the dotted line first. There's no connections other than D to D. So there we go. I'm going to do my loop around D, and that's dealt with my leading diagonal. Right, so A to B, no connections. We've done that one. A to C, there's 2 connections. So let's make it loopy or a little bit curvy. Marvelous. There's my A to D, no connections. A to E, there's just 1 connection. Ka-ching. Right, B to B, no connections. B to C, there are 2 connections. So we'll do that. And we'll do that. B to C, 2 connections. B to D, there is 1 connection. Well, this is horrible, but we'll do that for the moment. And B to E, no connection. All right, there's no C to C, but C to D, there is 1 connection. So there is my C to D connection. There's no connection between C and E. Marvelous. We've already dealt with that one. There's no, anywhere there's a 0, I don't have to worry about it, because remember, there are no connections between them. And ladies and gentlemen, there is my graph from the adjacency matrix. Now again, if you've done this, it may look slightly different. It doesn't matter, it's not a huge issue. I would probably go and redraw this so that I didn't have this overlap of B to D, but that's just me. Wouldn't exam ask you to do that? Possibly not, unless it said it wanted it to be planar, in which case you can't have any of those crosses. And what would I do then? Well, I'd probably move that to there. And ka-ching, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. There we go. There is an interpretation of the diagram. Is that pretty much what we got? A to C, 2 connections. A to E, 1 connection. B to C, 2 connections. B to D, 1 connection and a loop. Yeah? Now again, what I want to make very, very clear, and this comes up a little bit later on when we start talking about flow diagrams and what have you, is there is no direction showing on the graph. Right? Now, generally speaking, if we were dealing with road networks, some of the roads might be one way. When we're dealing with the flow of water through pipes, these might actually be pipes, water pipes between towns. Well, water doesn't flow 2 ways along a pipe. At least I hope it doesn't, because that wouldn't be particularly good. So there may well be arrows added onto this. Well, in which case, that's not called a graph. It's called a directed graph. I wonder why they called it a directed graph. Oh, I know, because there are directions on it. Right, so that comes a little bit later. It is very, very important, as I say here, to make sure we take account of the loops. All right, and again, in this situation, while they are counted as 2 degrees, they are only counted as 1 edge. Silly, 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 and most of you will go, well, that's obvious, hopefully. Put it down to good teaching. But there we go, and that's basically as hard as this particular section gets. Well, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please do me a favor, click like and subscribe and let your mates know. Again, so many people say you should have more subscribers, and you know, my videos are really, really helpful, but I can't get subscribers who watches maths videos without your help. Tell your teachers that I'm here and that I'm following the further maths, and hopefully it is useful to you. Yes? If not, hopefully I'll see you in another video. You take very good care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Yes, this is the end of another video. If you haven't already done so, can you click on my subscribe button? Yes, it doesn't mean anything other than the fact that I know that you are watching. Yes, it's greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I feel like I'm sitting here just talking to myself. And then, yes, there is mathsguru.com, of which you can see a still of now. And what is over there? Well, all the videos ordered by textbook, ordered by topic. You can search for the videos. You can download notes, time codes, exam questions, and so much more coming up. Yeah, it's absolutely free to join. So I'm done. Thank you very much. I hope to see you in another video. Give me a shout out to your mates if you can. I just want to make sure that everyone finds maths interesting and easy. All right, take care, guys. See you again. Bye-bye. Stay safe.